What's going on, good people? Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze because we understand that the way that the world's savings account is looking right now, the way the world's checking account is working right now, the shit though is not working satisfactorily to the benefit of everybody, not even to the survival of everybody, let alone the thrivation. Yep, write it down. I said it, thrivation of all the people them. It is imperative that a new system or systems are created. And the old ones, well, they're not going to tear themselves down. So that's why we must burn it down. I'm so excited that you guys have decided to make a conscious choice to come kick it with your homie on this Good Friday night. Thank you all so much for coming through. Tressa, thank you so much for your early super chat support. I know we was running a few minutes late. I said Tressa done threw out $5. Like, come on here, Kim. We're trying to see the show. So I'm gonna put my 5 on it. And we appreciate you, Tressa. Thank you so much. And big up to everyone that is coming through, checking in. Of course, our Fire Fam All-Stars in the building. Per always, per usual. So on today's show, y'all, I could not really come up with like a cohesive like theme of the show per se. So the stories that I saw, well, one of y'all tagged me on one on the Twitters, and when I went to find the story, I actually realized that the story had occurred about a month ago. But as y'all know, I don't break fucking news on this show. I do not break news on this show. This is not what this show does. This show is to capture the news stories that should have been big stories, or hopefully maybe they were big stories somewhere, but to re-examine them, to look at them with a little bit more time, flesh it out with a smidge bit of more commentary, as it were. So I appreciate that. Okay, now who is this? Who did this? What's up? Love and Rage. Love and Rage. Thank you so much for tagging me on the story about a black woman in Philadelphia, a pregnant black woman who is in her third trimester. Did you guys see the story on social media? It was floating around. Infinite content. I don't think you tagged me on this one, Pimp. Maybe you did. But so sis was going into the pregnancy center to get her, actually she was going to get a doctor's note because she was experiencing some complications, some pain, some fatigue. So she wanted a doctor's note for work. And according to her TikTok videos, a nurse practitioner approached her sideways as fuck, proceeded even to assault her. The woman claims that the nurse practitioner, a white woman, okay, let me just put that out for there for context, that this white woman nurse practitioner assaulted her, hit her with something. We're going to look at the videos. But as a result, this sister has experienced a lot of stress, and the Philadelphia Pregnancy Center themselves have been on the receiving end of some stress from the community and from people, I guess, across the country at minimum, who saw this video and had some things to say to the Philadelphia Pregnancy Center. So I wanted to take a look at that and not wonder at all why pregnancy is such an arduous process for black women in particular, and the ways that racism show up. Jesus Christ, black women can't even be pregnant in peace. The way the racism shows up and throws additional stress that could potentially add to complications for expected black mothers. That's a story I want us to get into. The other story I want us to get into towards the end of the show, there there was an incident. This happened earlier this year, but a very popular Instagram and OnlyFans model has been charged with murder for murdering her boyfriend. And because I saw this story, and I don't remember seeing it when it happened present, but there's been some developments because prosecutors have released some texts from the boyfriend to the girlfriend, where it definitely makes it clear from these texts that this man was in a domestic violence situation, where to the point that obviously this woman ended up taking his life, according to prosecutors. Her defense, of course, has a different story. I want us to check in with that story coming out of Miami, Florida. But to start, I would like for us to, oh, wait. I didn't have another story. I have another story. Anyway, I'll big up the reporter when I get to the story because I was appreciative to see that this story has already been covered, but I hadn't seen it. Well, actually, that's not true. I had seen this story and I had bookmarked it back when. And when I was going through my bookmarks, last night and today, trying to figure out what I was going to talk about, I said, "Oh, this story looks interesting." And then I went onto YouTube. I'm like, "Has anybody else already covered this?" And a mainstream journalist actually covered it, and it's a mainstream journalist that I respect. So stay tuned for that to find out who in the hell that is. But the story of an Afghan infant, a at the time 2-month-old Afghan baby, her entire family killed in Afghanistan by US forces. She survives, is taken to hospital. A white US Marine says, "Hey, there's a baby there. Just no, nobody wants this baby. Oh, we'll take the baby." And he took the baby. And the baby has family. And the family is now suing this Marine in federal court to get their baby back. And I wonder, when will white people tire? When will they tire of stealing people's children, especially in light of Thursday's interview that we had with Amanda Wallace from Operation Stop CPS on the Remix Morning Show? If you didn't see that interview, you should go back and check it out. So anyway, I'm doing too much front selling. Let me get to my first fucking story. Oh, by the way, come on in, give the video a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, consider subscribing, and let's leave that there for now. Hold on, let me big up my people. Them who is in here? I see Spin Cycle Dragon. I see Frony Francais. I see Teresa. What's up, John Kemper? Thank you so much for your membership, John Kemper. Of course, I see Courtney, my good sis, my good mod. One half of my mods, my other mod in here is Latif in here. Well, anyway, I just want to say hey to everybody who has decided to come through. What's up? What's up, Kofi? Hey, Kofi. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Quaker Anarchist is in here as well. Holly's in here as well. Ooh, Donnie's in here. Yay, Cape Socialist. It's late in South Africa, no? But thank you for staying up. I guess it's Friday. It's all right. I guess it's technically probably already Saturday where you are. And of course, my son Tyler is here. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I love to see my all-stars coming through. Big up to everyone that is checking out the show. So like I said, let's go ahead and get started with some good news. Ooh. And sometimes, just sometimes, the trash does take itself out. Now, we know that we have been following the stories of mainly Sheriff Villanueva out there in Los Angeles. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is some shit. Okay, Google LASD gangs if you don't believe me. However, on occasion, the criminal justice system will make a mistake and it actually target one of its criminal own, right? Not to say that the criminal justice system allegedly does not attack crime. No, it does get after crime, but it never gets after crime usually within its own ranks. And we know that law enforcement is fraught with what gang? Criminals. That's correct. That is correct. Well, we have got a bit of a different take here because no one is above the law. A sheriff has been convicted on corruption charges and other things. And this lady sounds as though she has been a problem for a very long time. She has been in law enforcement for many decades, but is only, well, in recent years, I should say, that she has been fully investigated for allegations of corruption. But the kicker is this is only a civil conviction, not a criminal conviction, but hopefully she still might manage to smell the inside of that jail cell. Let's check in with California for this story coming from KTVU. Let's take a look.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. We'll say give him a second. It's cool. It's cool. But no, and so anyway, I'm gonna talk about a subsequent story after we.
I'm ready now. Sorry.
Okay. Will, listen to Will. It sounded exactly like Baltimore behind Will. It just sounded like sirens. And I know more often than not, them's are fire engines, but still, it's always sirens in Baltimore. It's always sirens in Baltimore. I'm sorry, that's not even funny. It's just a fucking observation. But anyway, let's check out this package from KTVU about the sheriff convicted of corruption. Woo!
Guilty on all counts after a years-long investigation, former Santa Clara County Sheriff Lori Smith was convicted of corruption and misconduct.
We had a system where there were two different standards, and under the law, everyone should be treated fairly and equally.
Lori Smith convicted on 6 charges in a civil corruption case. Good evening. I'm Julie Hayner.
And I'm Mike Meebeck. The guilty verdict comes just 3 days after Smith abruptly resigned from the sheriff's office. KTVU South Bay reporter LaMonica Peters live tonight in San Jose with more from the district attorney as well as what happens next. LaMonica.
The DA told me that they've been working on this case for about 4 years, and today a jury agreed that Lori Smith had been doing things that she should not have been doing and that it was time to hold her accountable. Prosecutors say former Santa Clara County Sheriff Lori Smith conspired to award concealed weapons permits for political favors, hide gifts from donors, and refuse to cooperate with an investigation with the County Board of Supervisors. The jury heard evidence from over 40 witnesses.
We are gratified that the jury considered all of the evidence that we uncovered during a lengthy and detailed investigation and found all of the allegations against the sheriff to be true.
Smith started her career in 1973 and was elected sheriff in 1998, becoming the first female county sheriff in the state. Still, after serving 6 terms, Rosen says the people should know that everyone, including law enforcement, will be held accountable.
No one is above the law, and that's a fundamental principle of our democracy that has been tested in the last several years by many political scandals. And I think something that we have reaffirmed in our community is that everyone is accountable under the law and everyone should be treated equally under the law. And that's what this verdict demonstrates.
Interim Sheriff Ken Binder released a statement saying, in part, the actions of a few people are not a reflection of the great work our deputies do every day. The men and women of the sheriff's office are looking forward to new beginnings with the sheriff election coming up next week. On Tuesday, November 8th, voters will elect the county's next sheriff, a race between longtime Santa Clara County Deputy Kevin Jensen and former Palo Alto Police Chief Bob Johnson.
This is an opportunity for our community and for the sheriff's office to turn the page and to I welcome the next sheriff, whoever that is, and look forward to working with him.
Rosen says 3 other people have already admitted to bribery involving concealed weapons permits. 2 other bribery trials for Under Sheriff Rick Sung and Captain James Jensen will start in January. Now, although Smith has already resigned, Rosen says he still expects that the judge will formally remove her from office on November 16th. Mike?
LaMonica, 2 things here. This is being a civil case. Are there possibilities of a criminal case or cases against the former sheriff? And then what about her pension? I know she resigned on Monday, had the guilty verdict today. Is her pension in jeopardy at all?
Okay, I'll start with your first question. She is not under criminal charges at the moment. That doesn't mean that can't happen in the future. There are 2 other cases coming up in January involving some of her colleagues, and if evidence is presented that shows that she should be charged criminally, I do believe that that will happen. And as far as the pension is concerned, this was a civil case, so I don't believe that her pension is in jeopardy. The DA never mentioned that. He said that as far as he knows and is concerned, she will just be formally removed, and that's basically her punishment or whatever she'll receive as a result of this case.
All right, there you go. LaMonica Peters live tonight in San Jose. LaMonica, thank you for that.
You know, part of the reason I let that package go as long as it did is because I wanted y'all to see LaMonica out there doing her stand-ups like a boss. I said, go ahead, LaMonica, do your thing out there at KTVU out there in Cali. That's not a little gig out there. Big up to LaMonica doing her thing. That's really cute, huh? Sheriff's deputy in Santa Clara going down. Well, really going down, kind of going down, forced out of office, maybe not having to give up her pension. The interesting little tidbit though, two of her undersheriffs also about to go on trial for fucking bribery. Sounds as though the entire sheriff's department in Santa Clara is fucking corrupt, fraught with bribery and campaign donations. Sounds like they sound like some criminals. And I love to hear when prosecutors say nobody is above the law. Is Shorty going to jail? We know. Is she going to jail? Is she going to jail? All these little wrist slaps that high ranking white folks, powerful white folks, rich white folks, well represented, well connected white folks get away with, and prosecutors say nobody is above. I don't want to hear that shit. There's black people sitting in jail for literally fucking nothing. Lock these white folks up, man. Put them away. Abolish the system, but lock them up before you abolish the system, so it can be fair. I wanted to take to so interesting there. So that's of one of the sheriffs doing, as Kalechi would say, higgy haga. But if you remember on the Remix Morning Show, maybe it was last week, Kamau and I reported about is it the Clayton County? God damn it! Outside of Atlanta in Georgia, the sheriff there who is facing federal civil rights violation charges for imprisoning people, strapping them to a chair for several hours to the point that they wet themselves, subjecting people to torturous conditions. Then I'm thinking of, even though he's not in office anymore, at least I don't think he is, Joe Arpaio out there in Maricopa County. That big goofy coon ass nigga. Who the fuck was that? David Clark with the fucking cowboy hat. That fucking Lord have mercy. Pop up that Marshall Project article, Will, if you could. So the Marshall Project actually conducted a survey of U.S. sheriffs, and they wanted to see their views on power, race, and immigration. And some of their findings won't surprise you. Some of these findings you won't be surprised at all. Quickly, this survey was conducted by researchers from Tulane University and Texas Christian University within the piece. They do detail their methodology. It is available for you to do that if you want to investigate this piece further. And what they did was they found, well, for one, they surveyed they got 500 responses, which is not insignificant. That is roughly 1 in 6 U.S. sheriffs. And what they found was, oh, hold on, let me get to the first findings, because the demographical findings are significant. So among the takeaways, we found that sheriffs, the vast majority of whom are white and male, according to a previous study, are also far more conservatives than Americans as a whole, and largely approve of Donald Trump's performance as president. The survey also found other findings include that many sheriffs subscribe to a notion popular on the right that in their counties, their power supersedes that of the governor or even the president. What? Uh-huh. Most believe that protests like those against the 2020 police murder of George Floyd were motivated by bias against law enforcement. They also are frequently open to some changes championed by the criminal justice reform movement, including a federal government system to track officers accused of misconduct and police trainings in nonviolent alternatives to deadly force. So that's interesting to me because, I mean, not to say that I guess, I don't fucking know what police are interested in. I don't know if they're interested truly in cleaning up their ranks, but I did find that to be a sort of an interesting takeaway that these, according to this survey, that these sheriffs do support a government system, a federal government system to track officers accused of misconduct. But the rub in that is that the FBI allegedly does track this information, but the information that the FBI relies upon is completely voluntary from police departments, and an overwhelming majority of police departments don't submit the fucking data to the FBI to begin with. I actually think I even did a story here on this here program where the FBI said that they was going to stop tracking that shit because not enough police departments were participating, so they couldn't even come up with substantive findings because of an absence of data. Jesus Christ. We gave the respondents the opportunity to respond without revealing their name publicly, but also gave them the options to talk with us in follow up interviews. We spoke with about 17 sheriffs about their responses. Each sheriff spoke about the unique nature of the power as elected law enforcement officials. For example, as Sheriff Tim Leslie of Dakota County, Minnesota, population 442,000, put it, quote, "Everyone's your boss and no one's your boss." Jesus. Jesus. It's a really interesting read. I suggest you go check it out. It's on the marshallproject.org. And the survey, again, that these people really believe that they wield way more power than I can't even say that they actually do, because if they're able to do what the fuck they want, then clearly they wield the power that they believe that they have. And unless there is some sort of local prosecutorial intervention or Department of Justice intervention, as the case in the sheriff in the county outside of Atlanta, sheriffs kind of get to do what the fuck they want, just like all the other police, just like all the other police. But anyway, I wanted to start off the program at least with a bit of good news. It's mids. Let's not even call that good. I absolutely call that news. That is mids. It is in the midzoles, mids, big mids. So anywho, do us a favor, everybody. Give the video a like, a thumbs up, a share, a subscription, a membership. You could become a member to Burn It Down with Kim Brown at the low price of like $1.99 or something like that a month. That is also the price to support us at our lowest tier on Patreon. And maybe I shouldn't just keep putting out the lowest tier. I mean, I appreciate $2, but maybe I might be worth a little bit more than $2. So, I mean, we have higher tiers as well, 5, 10, 20, somewhere in there. I think we even got a big boss joint at 50. But y'all ain't got to jump high to the 50. If you only got 2, I'll be happy to take the 2. Patreon.com/BIDWKB. And if you want to support the channel financially, you can do so. $BIDWKB, Venmo at BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB. And my bad, I'm trying to be more conscious about putting out material support call outs the week of the 1st because I understand. I know what's due the week of the 1st. Everybody, we ain't gotta say it. It that shall not be named. It that shall not be named is always there on that first week of the month. So my bad. So y'all ain't got it. Y'all good, actually. Y'all can put y'all wallets away. You can put your purses down. We cool for this week, but I'm gonna hit y'all up. The week of that 15th, though. The week of that 15th, it's going to be a different type of call out solicitation. You understand? But anyway, guys, thank you all so much for being here. So I want to move on to my next story. In this story, I saw it and I said, oh boy. So thank you so much to the Burn It Down with Kim Brown supporter on Twitter who tagged me on the story, because all I could think of when I saw this story coming out of Philadelphia was, oh boy, oh boy, the restraint that Black women are required to show in order to survive. Is survive hyperbole, sister girls? is saying that Black women have to show restraint, is that hyperbole? Because I don't really think it is. Because the moment that you begin acting out, whomever your provocateur was ratchets up the shit as well, and they become more aggressive. And that is exactly what happened to a sister named Jillian out of Philadelphia. She was visiting the doctor at the Philadelphia Pregnancy Center, which is located in Norristown, Pennsylvania. She was there to get a note from the doctor because she was experiencing some complications, get a note for work. And Jillian has children. She already has previous children. And I think she says in her videos that she's expecting her fourth child. And the treatment she received from a nurse practitioner who began questioning her family planning choices and implying overtly, subtly, and otherwise that Jillian was trying to get a doctor's note for work because she wanted some sort of free ride. So I want you guys to pay attention because this is actually going to be roughly 6-ish minutes of Jillian telling her story directly through a series of TikTok videos. The first video we're going to see is the actual encounter inside of the pregnancy center with the nurse. And this story, again, happened back in October and it totally flew under my radar. So again, I'm appreciative to you all who do tag me on stories, even if I don't reply, because I'm not good at that shit. Like I do see the shit and I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. So I want us to hear directly from Jillian. So this is what we're going to see. The first video is the video of the actual encounter that Jillian filmed herself. The subsequent videos are going to be Jillian giving a first person accounting of what she calls the full story. And the final video is a video she recorded after the story had blown up virally. And the pregnancy center was trying to blame her for the negative attention that they are receiving. I imagine they are still receiving it, but let's take a look at this. This is 6 minutes. And guys, trust me, I would not subject anybody to videos of this duration if they were not wholly compelling. So, trigger warning, this is healthcare racism. Woo! This is white women at a very high level. Everybody needs a trigger warning for that. Holy shit. And just the having to see a Black woman deep in her pregnancy having to be subjected to racism and just listening to the way that has clearly affected her and stressed her out. Let's take a look.
What were you thinking about when you got pregnant, that you were not going to work? I'm just curious because, I've had 3 kids. I worked up until the second they were born.
But am I you? Are you me? Do you know how I feel? Do you know how my body
that's why I'm
feels?
asking. I'm interested to know what you think. I want to know your mindset. So when you got pregnant, what were you thinking about?
I was thinking about having a kid. I'm confused on where you're going at.
I'm confused too because you came in here and I did an assessment and I gave you my best medical advice. And you didn't like that.
But I said that I just wanted a note so I could take it easy these next 2 months.
And
I'm 7 months pregnant and I'm in pain. It's not fraud. If it was fraud, the doctor wouldn't be getting me my note right now.
Really?
Yes.
What I read on your chart isn't true.
Okay.
So I
What's
know
on my
it's
chart
fraud.
that's not true?
I read on your chart what isn't true because I'm the person who saw you and did the exam.
Okay.
So it's okay.
But how do you know how I feel? How do you know how my body feels inside?
Because I stuck my hand in there and checked your cervix.
Okay, you check my cervix, but how you know how my bones feel? How you know how my body feels, my legs, my back? How do you know how that feels? How you know how my nausea feels? How you know how my cramps feel? By touch, and you're okay. All right, so this is the nurse practitioner, and look how she's hitting me. Look at it. Check her out. Check it out. Call the police, and they're going to see how you just what you just did. Call the police. She already called the police on me once because I called her a weirdo. Yes, look at you. This lady is fucking crazy. Call the cops again. Call them.
It's okay.
Call them. I got you on video hitting me with that thing in your hand.
This?
This is the Philly Pregnancy Center, guys.
Yeah, okay, Jillian.
She didn't want to give me a...
Yep. So So that was the first one. Are we going to see the other two?
So I decided to post a little update. So basically, long story short, I needed a doctor's note. I needed to take off work. I'm in a lot of pain. I begged them to take me in. For a week, I called and called and called, asked for an appointment. They finally told me to come in. I came in. The woman that you see in the video, all she did was, when I tried to explain my pain and exactly what I was feeling, she cut me off, said, let me examine you. I want to feel your cervix. So when I got up on the table for her to examine me, she was very aggressive. She shoved her fingers in me. It was painful. So after that, she just started telling me, oh yeah, I can't give you a no, and you can work. The most I could do is say you can't lift 25 pounds or more. So I started, arguing my case, like, no, I really need my note. Let me just speak to the doctor. I would like to speak to the doctor. So she goes, I'm not going to argue with you. Long story short, we get back to the front desk. She's blurting out all my information in the lobby. There's a patient in there. She hears everything. All my information is out there. The girl at the front desk gets the doctor on the phone. The doctor wants me to go in the back office and talk to her on the phone and explain what's happening. As we're walking back there, she goes, please don't take her to my office. So I said, nobody wants to go to your office. You're a weirdo for that. She comes back there, says, I called the police. I said, why would you call the police? She said, because you called me out my name. I said, because I called you a weirdo? She said, yeah. I said, okay, well, when the cops get here, I'm going to tell them you're a weirdo because you're a weirdo. There's no reason to call the cops because you got called a name for something that you're acting like, because the way you're acting is really weird. So part 2 to the full story. So after I got off the phone with the doctor, when I was in the back room, after she came back there, said she was calling the cops, I told her to call them, so on and so forth. After I calmed down, because I had a panic attack back there, I'm like crying because I'm just like, oh my goodness, like this is not what I thought I was coming here for. Like, why am I going through so much? Like, so, and I'm pregnant, and I already have high blood pressure. Like, my blood pressure was already high when they checked it for that appointment. So I come out the back office, it's cops in there. So I'm like, oh my goodness, she really called the cops. So the cops are like kind of being aggressive to me, but not like super aggressive. That's why like I didn't get that on recording, because I really was not trying to do anything for attention. Like, I wasn't out to record nobody. Like, my first thought wasn't to record anything. What made me start recording was, after everything was said and done, I spoke to the police, and she told the police the reason she called them is because she felt threatened. And I told the cop, I said, look at me, like, I'm going on 8 months pregnant. I'm 7 months pregnant. I'm pretty far along. Do I look like I'm in a position to be attacking somebody? Like, I don't understand what her problem is. And they was like, yeah, she said she felt like you just came in here just to get a note to get a free ride, or some crazy stuff like that. After everything was all said and done, the doctor said that I was going to get my note. Everything was going to be fine. Sit in the office and wait as the woman at the front desk gets it all ready. They had to do something, sign and stuff. And so long story short, I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. So the woman from the video, the Karen, she walks up to me. I'm sitting there. I'm trying not to look at her. I'm just on my phone, just scrolling through Instagram, trying to like distract myself. So I'm looking at my phone. I already had my phone in my hand. She stands in front of me and she asks me the question, what were you thinking when you got pregnant? And I want to have a conversation with you, since we no longer have a patient-doctor relationship. She just was talking and talking and talking. So I finally just said, listen, I don't care what you got to say. Please get out my face. Go about your day. So she goes, Jillian, you're a piece of shit. What were you thinking when you opened your legs and got pregnant? So part 2. So this is one of the comments that they're leaving, and apparently they're emailing the same statement, which is just very upsetting, because they're placing all the blame on me, justifying this woman assaulting me. It's just so many things wrong with this statement. And even the woman who witnessed the whole thing, that was also there, that I'm not going to really say too much about her because of privacy reasons, but she witnessed it. She reached out to me and she's agreeing with me that, this whole thing was terrible about the cops and everything. Like, she was amazed that this woman could really sit up here and call the cops on me, all because she got called a weirdo. when in fact with the way she was acting was crazy. It was weird. But anyway, here's the comments. I'm sure most of you saw it, but yes, she did place all the blame on me. And even last night when I spoke with the doctor, she did the same thing. She's mad because of all of the social media attention. She even said to me on the phone, your people are calling and harassing my people, making them cry, making them go home from work, and I should have had the decency to say good things about the doctor and everybody else in the office, and it's just a lot. And I'm just really upset right now just seeing that everything was placed on me. And you could clearly see that the nurse practitioner was wrong. In addition to that, she has not been fired. She has only been suspended. She specifically said that she was suspended. I asked, well, what's the difference between suspended and fired? Is that the same thing for you? Because it's not the same thing for me. Because suspended means she still has a job, but she refused to comment on that statement. So, or that question, she just didn't answer that. She just bypassed it and continued to place the blame on me the whole phone call.
Can you even imagine? Well, I know some of you do not have to imagine. Black mothers, every single one that I know, has at minimum a story about what they felt was insufficient care either during their pregnancy or potentially during delivery, or just in the medical settings generally, right? Or in the post, what do they call it after you have a baby? In the post birth section of the hospital. You can tell I do not know these things, but um but for sis to encounter somebody who is directly in charge of her care, my heart just broke for her, for Jillian, the mother there, when she said that the nurse Karen, whose actual name I believe is Teresa Smigo, when she checked her and she said how aggressive she was with her, like aggressive in her lady parts where her baby is gestating. You understand? Like what? Anyway, not been pregnant whilst not pregnant, but I said this once on the Remix Morning Show. I was getting a pap smear at Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri, at some of the doctor's office there, the gynecologist office there, and I have speculum in vagina. They got it cranked open. they didn't hit the tire crank. They done cranked it open, right? So I got speculum in vagina, and some fucking dumb bitch from the fucking front desk comes in to ask me about my insurance information. Feet in stirrups, speculum in vagina. And someone's going to actually come in there and ask me about my insurance information. Nigga, when I tell you. But what can I do? I didn't even lunch out. I didn't. The person swathing my cervix was like, can you get that later? And then the woman left, but incensed. So I'm putting myself in this woman's shoes. I'm pregnant, 7 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant. I'm there to get a doctor's note because my body hurts. Why are you questioning my family planning choices? What the fuck is it to you? How many children I have? Why are you concerned about what was on my mind when I opened my legs? You don't know the circumstances surrounding this fucking pregnancy. Why is this fucking bitch overstepping and causing malpractice and using her white privilege and her white womanness to engage the police in a situation? Oh, so what? Now this is a criminal matter because this woman, this patient, had the audacity to call you a weirdo. Bitch, you are a fucking weirdo. Anybody that will call the police over being called a weirdo is a fucking weirdo. That's not even available to be contested, right? But it just goes to show you the other part to this. that again, I would imagine. Let me not speak for all black people, but let me speak for my fucking self. I have absolutely had white people call the police on me for absolutely fucking nothing. For nothing. Because I was a Negro not following direction from the nearest white. Are you fucking serious? Like, get the fuck out of here. So incensed for that sister. Well, for those of y'all who, like me, was not aware of this story prior to this week, this story actually, it did blow up. It was covered by Yahoo News. It was covered locally in Philadelphia. It sounds as though the Philadelphia Pregnancy Center has had a difficult time about it. And imagine the audacity of a doctor, and the sister Jillian, the mother there, the expected mother, did not say what the race of the doctor was, but fuck that doctor for trying to put it on her that people were calling the pregnancy center and that her staff was crying and having to go home. Now we all know who was crying, and had to go home. Because I imagine any sister would have been like, girl, now you know. Now who was this? Raheem? You know. It was not me. It was not me. It was not Alia. It was not I. I'm using the Muslim names because there's so many black Muslims up in Philadelphia. But you understand what I'm saying. Come on. I know who was crying, who was going home. So that also gives me an indication of the race of the doctor. That the race of the doctor would to me, a white doctor would absolutely try to guilt this deeply pregnant, heavily pregnant black mother into feeling bad, the ergo causing her more stress, thereby probably exacerbating the symptoms that she was there to get a doctor's note in the first fucking place for. Like, I hate it here so goddamn bad. And then just seeing that, you can't wonder why black women die at 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the rate of white women in America during pregnancy, during childbirth, and in the months and a year up to after their children are delivered. Because of this shit. Because white people don't believe that we experience pain. White people do not believe that we experience pain. Again, I can't believe I'm checking off so many boxes in this woman's situation. Several years ago, my mother, out of the blue, experienced pain so great she wanted to go to the hospital. Long story short, she gets a room, and I see the staff just walking around. It was not busy that day at the hospital located in Howard County. It was not busy that day, and they just dilly-dallying. So I stick my head at the curtain. I said, y'all just walking around in here. My mother's in here doubled over in pain. I bet you if she was a white woman, she would have had her pain medication already. I've told this story before. And then this indignant white administrator, this white woman administrator comes out and starts talking to me about how this ain't racist. This is not a racist institute. Lady, please. This is Howard County. We don't, woman, cease your nonsense because I know better. So I know that pain medication, believability about symptoms, etc. Black people face this in every single aspect of the medical field. And what really breaks my heart is that as a result, this poor child, this unborn baby, is experiencing the racism that their mother is feeling and the emotions that come along with that racism. Sis already said she had high blood pressure. Gang, for the non-whites, and maybe even for the whites who might perhaps have a similar but not exact reaction when they observe racism or when they know about racism, but black people and non-white folks, woo, you can feel the response to racism in your body. I actually feel my heart beating stronger, harder. My breathing changes. I feel my blood pressure changing. I'm starting to sweat because it's almost like a fight or flight kind of thing. I want to lunch out in this very moment when I'm experiencing this racism. Is it safe for me to do so? Am I in a space where if I have an emotional reaction to the obvious bullshit that I'm getting from somebody fucking white, or maybe somebody non-black, because we know non-blacks are also very good at the anti-blackness and the racisms, but it's usually the whites that get me feeling a certain way when they start feeling spicy. You know what I'm talking about. And so that baby was experiencing every emotion that his mother or her mother or their mother was experiencing in that moment. And that just absolutely breaks my heart. Will, can you put up Jillian's info? So, Jillian, obviously, even though she didn't get a lot of new followers on the social media, she did put up her information. So, if anyone wants to support her, pardon me, you can do so. I should have took a picture of the shit because I can't fucking read it. Will, open up your mic. What's her Cash App say? Turn down that SWV you got blasted in the background. Let me tell you something. When I'm talking to Will's where he's at.
Chill on me.
Strong nigga energy. It's just noise behind him at all times. Go ahead and read off Sissy's chat Cash App.
Okay, it's Jillian 9572. So Jillian JILLIAN 9572.
With the $sign in front. That's her
Yes,
Cash App.
$.
Help Jillian out, y'all. We probably will run Jillian a couple bucks ourselves because my God, I just feel such a way for her. Hold on. I am seeing you guys support for the program. Thank you so much. Who is that? Does that say Spiffy? Spiffy, come through, Spiffy. Thank you so much. Also, Crip Hop Nation. What's up, Leroy? And thank you so much, Schultzy. What's up, Schultzy? Thank you guys so much for your super chat support here on tonight's show. So, and again, thank you for the Fire Fam member, the Burn It Down with Kim Brown viewer who tagged me on that story. It's a very important story and just reminiscent again of the very casual, and not to say that brothers don't experience the racism, I'm sure, but I mean in the medical scenario, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the scenario in which black men might experience the sort of fatal racism within the medical field or medical realm that pregnant black women and women, who are in labor, whatever. I don't know. They check y'all good for prostate cancer when y'all go, or colon cancer. Anyway, if you do find the ways, not to say that there aren't ways, I'm not currently apprised of them at the moment. I would love to hear the ways in which, when going to seek treatment, brothers don't get tended to in the same way. And it's clearly racism, even though I definitely already know and can safely assume that does happen in all forms. But anyway, I'm very grateful that you guys are here with me tonight. So let us get into the next story. Please give us a like, a thumbs up, a share, all the things. And the next story I want to go to has to do with the thieving of black babies. Maybe I should have came up with a better title for today's show. But anyway, well, what, fuck it, I'm already past it, but whatever. This was a story that I bookmarked about a week ago. It had to have been more than a week ago because today's the 4th. I think I saw it in my bookmarks dated October 22nd. And I went back and I looked at it. I said, oh, this is worse than I thought it was upon first read. So this particular story has to do with the stealing of an Afghan infant. And before we get deep into the woods of the nuts and bolts of this story, I just want to lead off with a rhetorical question, or even a philosophical question, a question that actually might have an answer. And if you have an answer, please drop it in the chat. And even if you have a wrong answer, well, wrong answers will be accepted. Wrong answers will be accepted. So the question to start off this segment is, when will white folks get tired of stealing babies? Particularly brown and black and Asian babies. Because from where I sit, it appears as though Europeans love to steal non-white babies. Love it. Stole African babies, stole African American babies, continue to steal African American babies. Again, I refer to you back to Thursday's Remix Morning Show interview with the founder of Operation Stop CPS, Amanda Wallace, who has been organizing extensively around what she calls, and I agree, the kidnapping of Black children from Black homes under the guise of Child Protective Services. And Child Protective Services is run by white folks, mostly white folks. So this is still in African American children. They've been stealing kids from Asia for forever. Oh my gosh, been stealing the hell out of Asian kids. And of course, we can never forget the just heartbreaking, horrific, and systemic removal of indigenous children from their homes, from their tribes, placed in these horrible residential schools where they were abused, neglected, murdered, and disregarded in mass graves, right? White folks running all them joints. So I say, I submit again, when will the whites get tired of stealing non-white babies and babies that don't belong to them? Well, apparently no time soon. So this story has to do with an American Marine who was stationed in Afghanistan. And while in Afghanistan, I'm not privy to his mission, but whilst in Afghanistan, he happened upon a 2-month-old Afghan infant who was receiving treatment in a hospital. Why was she in the hospital, you ask? Because the US military killed her entire family. Killed her mother, her father, her several siblings, and she was the lone survivor, and they pulled her out of the rubble. So she was in the hospital receiving treatment. And this white US Marine says, since nobody seems to want this baby, I will just take the baby. And I want us to pick up the story with a mainstream journalist who already had my respect. But it warmed my heart to see specifically her covering this. And I'm talking about Washington Week's own and part-time NBC contributor, Yamiche Alcindor. I'm usually very loath to give credit to mainstream reporters, but I've been following Yamiche Alcindor since she used to write for USA Today. And perhaps some of you have been following her even longer than that. But Yamiche has always came with the journalistic cred, the journalistic skills, in my opinion, and even the stuff that she does for NBC. It doesn't totally rub me the wrong way. Of course, it's going to somewhat rub me the wrong way because I'm aware of NBC's biases and their slant, and I think sis does what she can to stay above that or stay outside of that. But regardless, her gig with PBS, I think, gives her a chance to do more in depth of the reporting that she's quite capable of, and she does a really good job doing. So big up to Yamiche Alcindor. And I want us to pick up with her interview of an AP reporter who has been covering this. And I have to credit the Associated Press as well, because this is the Associated Press's story. And I want us to take it from there. So we're going to start with Yamiche interviewing one of the lead reporters of this piece about this US Marine, in effect, stealing a baby from Afghanistan. Her blood relatives, her surviving family members, have already filed a federal lawsuit trying to get her back. So we'll pick it up from there. Let's take a look.
In September of 2019, there was a U.S. military raid in Afghanistan. And in this raid, a mother, a father, and 5 children were killed. There was a 2-month baby there as well, and she was pulled from the rubble. She survived the raid, but she was brought to a U.S. military hospital for treatment. She was injured, so she was receiving treatment there. We're not exactly sure when or how, but at some point, a U.S. Marine met this baby and decided that he wanted to bring her back to the United States. During this time, the Red Cross and the Afghan government, they began looking for the baby's next of kin, her relatives. And ultimately, they did identify some of her relatives, and she was sent to live with a cousin and his wife. But in the meantime, this U.S. Marine still was determined to bring this child back to the U.S. And so he went to a court in Fluvanna County, Virginia, and sought adoption through this court system. And ultimately, he was granted an adoption order. When U.S. troops withdrew from Afghanistan last year, this Marine helped this Afghan couple and the baby come here. The Marine helped them get the necessary documents, including an Afghan passport for the baby. And according to a federal lawsuit that this couple has filed, they say that when they arrived in the United States, this Marine took the child, and that child has been living with this Marine here in the U.S. ever since.
I mean, it's there's so many threads that I want to pull at here. The first one I'll ask you about is, you report that this baby was pulled from the rubble and that their family, the family of the child is saying that that her family were not terrorists, this was sort of a mistake to target this family. But Joshua Mast, who is this U.S. Marine, he has a different story. Talk about the discrepancy here and what we know about the truth.
Well, because we are relying right now on court documents, all we can tell you is what the Masts say and what the Afghan couple says. So the Masts say that this child was stateless, that she wasn't actually Afghan, and that she's not technically an Afghan citizen. But the couple says that she is, and that they are her family. And we know that when the Marine was seeking adoption order from this court in Virginia, that he told the judge that Afghanistan was prepared to waive jurisdiction over this child, which means Afghanistan would not be in charge of where the child goes anymore. But we also know that that never happened.
Where should we start? Where do we even begin? Do we even begin with why this child was orphaned in the first place? Because U.S. military is utterly incompetent, heartless, and just routinely kills innocent civilians and citizens in their houses, minding their fucking business, not doing anything to anybody. But somehow here come the U.S. military on a raid, and the whole family is killed except for this 2-month-old who is now orphaned. And let Joshua Mast, the Marine Mast, let Marine Mast say it. This child who was born in Afghanistan to Afghan parents is not Afghan herself. How? Oh, because white people said so. Got it. Got it. Oh, right. Yes. This is the part where we get to the alternate realities that white people will create and demand that the rest of us acknowledge and accept this shit. The fuck are you talking about, man? In what world is this child stateless? In what world is she even without family? Because her people have stepped up. Her relatives were located by both the U.S. federal government and the International Red Cross. And I don't think the AP in their story detailed about what methodology was used to identify to make sure that this family that was found was actually the blood relatives of this child. But these other sources have done that. And yet Marine Mast and his wife refuse to relinquish custody of the child. They are going forward in court. Now, there's the interview with this reporter. I just had her name, Juliet L. Is it Juliet Lindman? I was just looking at it. Yes, that was Juliet Linderman. And the other reporters on this piece are Claire Galifaro and Martha Mendoza. Really good reporting from the AP. And you know how I don't really like to give credit to the mainstream journalists. But when they do a story, and it's a really an interesting story. I mean, I don't know what consequence generally the story has on the rest of society, but I think it does a very good job of demonstrating the cascading consequences of American imperialism. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, the U.S. military has ruined generations of families, not just in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Vietnam, in the Marshall Islands, in fucking Puerto Rico, in Hawaii. Like, this colonialism is catastrophic. And and even when the facts are so clearly supposedly not in their favor, this orphan child has family that wants her. The whites, the whites make up some shit. And let's be clear, if what has been reported is true, that Marine Mast and his wife went into court and said that the Afghan government was prepared to, say that it was cool for them to take this baby. They lied. They perpetrated a fraud on the court. And yet they continue. And yet they persisted. The problem is, it is not beyond the shadow of a doubt that this child will not go back to her Afghan family. And by the way, the AP piece also goes on to report that the concept of adoption in Afghanistan, the concept of adoption as recognized as the westernized and Americanized version of the practice, they don't do that shit in Afghanistan. Like, ain't no somebody else going to raise the family baby, even if the child is orphaned by their parents. Someone in the family takes the baby. Like that. What you mean, give the baby up for adoption to strangers, people outside of the culture, people who don't speak the language, people who cannot pass along this child's religious and cultural heritage of her, people who cannot pass along memories of her actual parents and her siblings that, again, the US military killed. Again, I ask, when will white people stop stealing people's babies? Probably not no time soon. I'm gonna keep an eye on this case. This case is moving forward in Virginia court. Why? I'm confused, because I guess that's where the Masts have filed, their court petitions. But this is kidnapping. This is theft. Like, I don't see how. I mean, I guess it's not theft. It's kidnapping. And no, it's theft. You done thiefed this baby. You have thiefed this baby. Theft, kidnapping, fraud. Anyway, I'm gonna keep an eye on this story. But again, I wanted to big up Yamisha Cinder and the Associated Press. Lord have mercy. I'm sorry. And if Yamish sees this ever, Yamish, I'm only saying this because you work for the mainstream. You're a fantastic, brilliant journalist. But I don't big up anybody usually from the mainstream. Not if I can help it. But job well done, and well done to the AP and the women reporters who worked on this piece. We'll keep an eye on it. So anyway, y'all, what y'all think about that? Let me go to the chat, see what y'all talking about. Shit crazy, man. When I need white people to keep that. Why they keep wanting to steal people babies, man? Why you want to steal people babies? Of all things, stole the land and stole all the resources. Got to steal the babies too. Shit, nothing is safe. I bet your white coworkers are stealing your lunch right out of the office refrigerator. You just like, God damn it, Connor! did you take my chicken salad sandwich? God damn it, Connor! I keep telling you, stop stealing my shit. Anyway, where we at here, guys? Give us a like, give us a thumbs up. What time is it? Oh fuck! I'm very sorry. It's 8:15. Let me tighten up, because this next story is not a good story, but I feel compelled to talk about it, because You guys know, I say this on the show all the time, how serious I feel the issue of domestic violence is, right? And gender-based violence is very important. So hold on, let me give the requisite trigger warnings for domestic violence, um and for murder as a result of domestic violence. And this story has got some new developments. This story did not just break. This happened several months ago. If we could pop up that article, Will, and let's keep it up for a bit. This story has to do with an alleged domestic abuser. And I say alleged because this woman is on trial right now. So we want to, but by these texts, I can't see how it's alleged. These texts are pretty damning. But this woman is facing murder charges for killing her boyfriend. And this is after a sustained period of a tumultuous relationship where she is reported to have seriously injured him on a number of occasions before finally stabbing him to death. Is love going to kill me? Slain boyfriend texts reveal other stabbings by OnlyFans model. And again, we have the trigger warnings. This piece is by David O'Valley, and he writes for the Miami Herald. And I think, yep, this came out yesterday. Look at this couple. Yeah, look at the picture on her. Yeah, that's important. It's important because, people would be like, well, I look at her and I don't see an abuser. Or maybe that's not what I would consider an abuser to look like. Well, the thing is, guys, abusers come in all shapes and sizes and forms and colors. You cannot judge a book by its cover when you're talking about who is capable of domestic violence. So, on one occasion last year, Christian Toby Obumsele claimed that he was stabbed in the leg so badly that he could barely walk. A day later, he said he was hit in the head hard enough that he believed he suffered a concussion. Finally, in late January, Obumsele suffered two nasty cuts to the cheek and to the chin, wounds that he documented in photos and that were severe enough that he went to the hospital for stitches. Newly released text message conversations from Obumsele's iCloud account reveal that he said that his attacker was his girlfriend, who is OnlyFans model Courtney Clenny, who on April 3rd would fatally plunge a knife into his chest during yet another heated argument. Yes. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Another heated argument inside of their luxury Miami apartment. The texts that are now evidence in the murder case against Clenny also reveal that the weeks before his death, Obumsele agonized in a message to her about being subjected to her racial slurs and spiraling violence. Is love going to kill me? Obumsele wrote to her, adding, February was the worst month that I had so far. I got cheated on. I got called that word again. I got slapped in my stitches. I got slapped in my mouth, pardon me, got slapped in my stitches, that my stitches had reopened multiple times and it's not healing fast enough. Clenny, who is 26 years old, is charged with second-degree murder in the killing of Obumsele, a case that has garnered worldwide attention because she was an influencer with millions of followers on Instagram and OnlyFans, where users make money by posting explicit content. Prosecutors could present the evidence depicting Clenny as a violent abuser in a Miami-Dade to a Miami-Dade judge in the coming weeks as her defense attorneys go to court to seek her release on bond while she is awaiting trial. No date has yet been set for the hearing. Miami-Dade State's Attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle, in announcing Clenny's arrest back in August, described the model as the abuser in a stormy on-again, off-again relationship. Clenny's attorneys insist that she fatally stabbed Obumsele in self-defense and that she is the true victim of domestic abuse. Her defense attorney, Frank Prieto and Sabrina Puglisi, said that the evidence released by prosecutors is a one-sided snapshot in time, and it's not the whole story. They said in a statement, quote, "It's missing context. The most sensational pieces of evidence are being cherry-picked by reporters without proper context to feed the public's curiosity with this case. What is clear is that the evidence shows that there was extreme emotional and dysfunction of a relationship on the rails, off the rails. As we prepare Courtney's defense for trial, we are currently piecing together all of the evidence so the jury will understand the totality of the situation when it is presented to them at trial. Also, the majority of the records released so far have come from Christian's cell phone. There is another side to this we look forward to presenting. This sounds, first of all, horrific that this young man died in this way. He was murdered in this way. One more thing to add. This week, Courtney Clenny's attorneys also pointed out that the Miami police body cam footage was released last month, in which Clenny, days before the killing, is said seeing that Obumsele was stalking her and asking for a restraining order. He was not arrested in that case. That kind of tells me something. That tells me something. She appears to be white. Yes, Clenny. I don't think there's any ambiguity there racially. Courtney Clenny called the Miami police and said that her black male boyfriend was stalking her and the Miami police did not arrest him. That tells me a lot. That tells me that the police did not believe her account. Now, if she was the victim of domestic violence, see, this is such a sticky situation. I mean, first of all, it's horrific that this young man is dead. It's horrific that he died at her hands. Ugh. So listen to this. So Clenny and Obumsele, who moved to Miami from Texas back in January, had a notorious tempestuous relationship. Neighbors in both states repeatedly complained about their loud arguments. The Miami Herald obtained the text messages, which were recovered by Miami police as part of their homicide probe via a public records request. They also obtained were photos taken in the hospital of Obumsele's wounds. The racial dynamic here cannot be ignored, right? Because part of me wants to say that if this black man was really abusing this white woman, like if she was really abusing her, then potentially he would be in jail, right? Or at least arrested and or charged with something, regardless of even whether or not the charges stuck. I'm just inclined to think that he would have been charged with something. Now, we know the way that domestic violence works. Sometimes people who are victims of domestic violence don't like to come forward. I don't know if that's the case with her, but it definitely sounds as though that was the case with him, at least via these texts. And again, I'm trying to maybe and maybe y'all might think I'm trying to be too fair here because of the gender dynamics of who's the alleged aggressor and who is the victim. It's just fucked up because him. I believe that she was stabbing him. I believe that she was hurting him. But just because She should not have killed him, period, point blank. But the thing is, just because I know how DV works, I can't fully discount whatever her defense is. Do I believe it? No, I don't believe it. But I can't discount it just for the simple fact that I also know how prosecutions work and how prosecutors work. And her attorneys are not wrong here that the state's attorneys are selectively releasing evidence and the trial has not begun, right? So I mean they're trying to, obviously, as prosecutors would, trying to paint the thing the way that they want it to go, considering who they have in custody and who is charged with this crime. So I don't know. I feel horrible that this happened to this young man. I believe that this woman was stabbing him and had stabbed him. I believe that he probably, I would like to hear from his family. I would like to hear from someone who may have known him because I'm wondering if he told anybody about this. And because of patriarchy, basically, if he didn't tell a soul about it, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. There was an embarrassment factor, a humiliation factor, an emasculation factor I know goes along with men who are the survivors of domestic violence. I know at least two guys I can think of who were in abusive relationships where they were the subject of the abuse, from verbal beratement to physically, the partner, the abuser, the woman in this one particular relationship I'm thinking about, the woman would provoke him physically, would antagonize him physically, right? Like she would be the initiator of the violence and of the physical contact. And when he responded, not with the same level of force, but grabbing her, shaking her and shit, or stiff arming her, or I mean, I think in a situation, if a woman is attacking a man, I think it's perfectly acceptable for a man to mush her ass. You mush the shit out of her ass. If she's trying to attack you, particularly with the weapon, you better mush her. I would prefer you do not punch. I prefer you do not punch, because still a punch is a punch. But if someone's coming at you with the weapon, gentlemen, if someone's trying to take your life, I think you need to use the force that is necessary to stop that from happening. Okay? Nobody deserves to get hit on, beat on, threatened, attacked, anything. And for a woman, and obviously I'm speaking very narrowly here in hetero relationships, so my apologies because I don't know how to say this inclusively. To be perfectly honest, I can only kind of see this from my lane. But ladies, no, 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 no. What is the old adage? Do not hit a man unless you want to be hit like or hit by a man, right? I'm okay with self-defense. I'm okay with anybody defending themselves in a self-defense situation with weapons or with physicality or whatever. But my heart is just, my heart continues, I'm broken for this young man. And again, because I've seen this situation up close. It's complex. It's very hard for men to talk about and to admit that they find themselves in these situations. Is embarrassing. And I can even imagine that she, likely being the breadwinner in this situation, wielded a lot of power, right? She was white. That's some power coming along with that. White woman, and white woman breadwinner, right? I'm sure she was making a very good living off of both OnlyFans and Instagram. So, and he said that she called him the N-word. Yeah. No, this is bad. No, this is a bad situation. But I want to be clear, like, if I see these stories, I will report on these stories with the same zeal, and maybe I'm not doing it with the same zeal. And if I'm being contradictory or a hypocrite here, y'all, please, I don't mind y'all calling the thing out. I'm comfortable being made aware of my contradictions, and I'm even trying to acknowledge them here, because maybe if the gender dynamics were different, maybe I would be more like, oh, he's guilty, he killed her. And maybe I'm reluctant to go that far, because she is a woman and because she alleges self-defense and that she was abused also. So all I can do on this situation, I guess, is wait to see what comes out in the trial. But I am inclined to believe the young man's text, and I'm inclined to believe that he was, in fact, being abused. So, to Toby Obumsele, I'm so sorry that he's gone. So we will see what happens in the murder trial of his girlfriend, OnlyFans model, Christina Kelly. I think I said her name right, but anyway, guys. Oh, that was a bit of a bummer. I meant to sort of leave off on a high note. That didn't happen tonight, so my bad. Well, anyway, y'all go smoke some weed. Lift your spirits. My apologies. I should have picked something to cleanse our palate. Where is the ginger in this sushi, in this bento box of a show that I have given on y'all today? But I want to thank everybody so much for coming by, checking out the show. Thanks to everybody that watched and tuned in to the Remix Morning Show on Black Power Media this week. Oh, big up to Lucretia. I don't know if Lucretia's in here, but even if she ain't, Lucretia, it was a pleasure to share the screen with you on Thursday. You did a fantastic job. You did a wonderful job. And listen, if you guys are viewers of the Remix Morning Show, Liu Kang, Northern Witch, Afro Sings, Imani Festo, so Comrade Kwame. I would love to see y'all faces in the place. Come on there and host. Like Lucretia would tell you, I mean, nigga, let me tell you something. Me and the ear doctor, I try to log on by like 7:55. I don't know what time the ear doctor logs on. Jared is usually there by the time I log on. Kalanji, if he's on the show that day, he's usually there by the time I log on. And Kamal always comes in as the intro is playing, right? So anyway, I said that to say it's chill. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't no high pressure situation. Okay. Like at least I wouldn't want anybody to interpret it as being a high pressure situation. You know what I'm saying? Just turn your camera on, just make sure your sound is up to snuff. Come on, Cord and Latif. Well, Latif be on his way to work. He can't do it. Anyway, I'm just volunteering y'all for shit. Let me shut up. I'm just signing y'all up for things. And y'all have not volunteered for things. So anyway, if you want to consider joining us on the Remix Morning Show, reach out to the good folks over there at Black Power Media because we would love to have you. And thank you all to those who tune in to the Status Cuckoo. Oh, thanks, Will. Thank you. And guys, don't forget COVID is still out here jumping on people. The threads that I read online about COVID, they deflate me so much. I almost can't even fucking talk about the shit because I see America's doing nothing to address the situation. There's no plan to address the situation. Meanwhile, China's over there, trying to tighten shit up. And America's like, loosey goosey, we don't give a fuck, whatever, COVID, woo. So anyway, COVID is still out here jumping on people. Please wear your masks, your good ones, your N95s, not the floppy jonts, wear the good jonts. They got them on sale on Amazon. Ain't no ethical consumerism under capitalism. So like I said, they got them on sale at Amazon. They got them on sale at Amazon. Go and get you some N95s so you're not out here catching the COVID and spreading the COVID. Okay. On behalf of Molly and Will, we appreciate you guys. We will see y'all back here on Tuesday. Appreciate y'all, Fire Fam. Y'all are the greatest ever. See you later. Au revoir.